Okay, let's talk about the impact of a thought on the brain. Our brain is an incredibly complex organ, processing an immense number of thoughts each day, somewhere between 60,000 and 70,000. To put it simply, the brain is like a powerful computer made up of billions of specialized cells called neurons. These neurons, which make up the brain's wiring system, can be thought of as trees with many roots and branches, where the branches represent the connections they make with other neurons. A neuron is an impressive cell. Depending on its role and location in the brain, it can make anywhere from 1,000 to over 100,000 connections with other neurons. Imagine each neuron as a mini computer with a huge amount of memory, about 60 gigabytes of RAM, that can process and store a lot of information. Let's take the neocortex, for example, which is responsible for our higher level thinking, like reasoning and decision making. In this area, each neuron can have up to 40,000 connections. These connections are critical because they allow the brain to exchange information and to store memories. When we learn something new, our neurons connect in new ways by exchanging chemical and electrical signals. These connections happen at specific points called synapses, which are like tiny bridges between neurons. When two neurons connect through a synapse, they form a memory. If we keep using this new information, these connections become stronger, making it easier to remember. How does all this happen? When we learn, our thoughts trigger the release of chemicals in the brain called neurotransmitters. These chemicals, like serotonin, dopamine, and acetylcholins, help transmit signals across the synaptic gap, allowing neurons to communicate. When we think the same thought repeatedly, the brain strengthens these connections, making it easier to remember. This process of forming and strengthening connections is called synaptic potentiation. It's a bit like practicing a sport or a musical instrument. The more you practice, the better you get. Your brain is literally rewiring itself to remember the task more efficiently. When many neurons fire together to support a new thought, a special protein is created. This protein travels to the cell's core, where it interacts with your DNA and activates certain genes. These genes then produce proteins that help build new connections in your brain. So, if you choose to think in new ways and expose yourself to new experiences, you can physically change your brain. This isn't just about learning new facts, it's about creating a richer, more connected brain. Research by Dr. Eric Kandel shows that when you form a new memory, the number of connections in your brain can double. But if you don't keep practicing or revisiting that memory, half of those connections can disappear in just a few short weeks. This is why repetition is so important for learning and memory retention. If you don't use it, you lose it. Okay, that is the end of the impact of a thought on the brain. See you in the next one.